Welcome to episode 55 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
And this week we're talking The Flash. And what would we be doing with ourselves if we did not bring on our friends from the podcast The Two Worlds to talk about it? So we have
one friend.
One friend, yes. We have Trevor Reece here.
We don't care about the other one.
Yes. Chris Rembrandt could not be here.
He's lost in the Speed Force right now.
No.
That's actually, I meant to tell you that he sacrificed himself to the Speed Force for me earlier today.
Okay, that's very noble of him.
Did he do it so he can get to the Flash premiere faster?
Yeah, he just like, you know what, I'm just going to check out. I don't want to have to exist.
He pulled a Cartman where he froze himself.
Is he going to come back with like a full-on beard and like seem like a little bit off, like he had a weird experience in the Speed Force?
Yeah, that's what I'm betting.
Maybe a new costume too?
He said something about going to find the weird part of the Speed Force.
Oh, God.
Like, I'm going to go to the dark places of it.
Oh, I cannot wait to hear what that's like. But so we are, of course, talking about Speed Demons, which is awesome because it's the first time we're getting another hero introduced into the DC animated universe, and of course, it's the Flash.
Yes,
and thank God, it's finally a pretty good episode. Which we have
been
not,
a while.
We have not had
been
good
a couple episodes.
Yeah,
well, because that's what because me and Chris talked about this episode like a year ago on our podcast during the summer hiatus of the Flash. We're like, let's go look at all the other Flashes.
Yeah.
And so we went and watched that one. And so I'm curious because we just plopped into that. I didn't even know this is the first intro of a character within the DC. This is the first time it's been introduced on Superman.
Yeah, it's the first time we've met another kind of like Justice League or another major level hero.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is before the Green Lantern stuff and
yeah, Green Lantern and Aquaman are going to be, I think, next season.
Oh wow.
Of the animated series.
But it's not been good? Because that's the other thing, is I have no context of what the series was at this point.
I mean, Cameron, what do you think about it? Because I watched this as a kid, so maybe I'm a little softer on it.
So I'm watching it live. This is my first time going through Superman the animated series.
Okay.
Had a decent starting point.
Yeah.
The first 3 episodes, the origin were pretty good.
Yeah.
We had the Toyman episode after that, which was great. He's a really great villain. And then kind of since then, it's been a few duds. They've introduced a good number of the villains. Like we've met Metallo, we've met Parasite. Last week we had what's her face,
Livewire,
Created for the show.
Yeah, not created very well.
Yeah,
we because these episodes haven't been great. We started a segment of how would we do it better, where we just take the elements that they have and try and rearrange them to tell a better story. Which I don't want to do because like we made this podcast to appreciate the shows and you know the growth of kind of the nerds on television, and it's kind of sad when we have to be like, yes, this was 20 years ago, but still like we saw what they could do and they're not living up to that potential.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard going back knowing that it's going to eventually get to the point where we're doing like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, where the writing was so good. You go back to this and you're just like, and especially because it started so strong with the animated series, and you kind of forget there is this little lull there in the middle. I'm looking forward to getting to Static Shock, where Cameron's just going to love every single episode,
thing.
and I'm just going to be dragging my heels through it, going, this is garbage.
Well, yeah, you guys. I mean, to be fair to Superman the animated series, you have not reached the low point of the Bruce Timm universe. That's Zeta Project.
Oh God, we have to do that too.
We do.
You have to do Zeta. I say you give it one episode. Just
Zeta?
Marathon the whole series and then just talk about it for one episode.
Okay.
That actually might be a good way to do it.
Yeah,
because
because it's like
ourselves.
I think that's like Diedrich Batter's like first appearance in like a DC animated show,
I think it might be.
which is like weird. Like because this is also like that's Diedrich Batter where he's most known for his Drew Carey character, and so it's like he was not in the place where he was like Batman in Brave and the Bold. Like he was kind of all over the place with this character, and it's got that electric tinge to it, if I remember it correctly. It's weird.
I just vaguely remember it.
I don't know if I've ever actually seen an episode of the Zeta Project or not.
I remember watching the Batman. I know I've seen the Batman Beyond episodes with him in it.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is like you don't really care about the Bruce Timm universe in the future outside of like the characters that are there.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care about the 50 years in the future. I care about like the continuation of the Batman story. But I'm not wondering, what's the DCU all about? What's Zeta doing?
Yeah, what are the small towns of
What
the
is
world?
Green Lantern and Hawkgirl's kid doing right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Justice League did a really good job of utilizing the future stuff, but like they're just like, this is the best stuff of it, not much more.
What year is that all set in? Isn't it like, I feel like it's 2039 or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, around there, because you have to think Bruce Wayne.
It's the same time that Blade Runner's going on.
That's true. Batman 2049.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'd probably say that's right. So Ryan Gosling would be, dude, I'd watch that. Ryan Gosling as Terry McGinnis, Harrison
my
Ford
God.
as old Bruce Wayne.
I'm going to only now be able to see that movie in that context. I've actually never seen the original Blade Runner, so I'm going this week. They're playing it at the Dome.
Nice.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I know. I'm super excited, and then I'm going to see the new one.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Do we have any news? Really? Any DC related news?
I have one kind of entertainment news that kind of got my circle riled up.
What?
I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Disney is they're attempting to remake Hocus Pocus.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
And with all of the backlash that it got, because they announced it on Thursday, and then on Friday they said they were going to post some stuff, and they never posted anything. So
So they're already just like, nope.
maybe we'll rethink this, because a lot of people have been asking for a sequel, which again I could be interesting to see it come back. It wouldn't be necessary.
Well, it's like Kathy Najimy is the only one who's like done much. Like, I mean, obviously Sarah Jessica Parker went on to do Sex and the City, but I don't really care about seeing her character again or Bette Midler's character.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No.
Who would you? Okay, so reboot. Do you have a dream casting of what that would be?
Well, the thing is, I think it's going to be a Disney Channel movie, which means it's all going to be
It's gonna be garbage.
yeah.
So it's going to be like completely unknowns and probably what, like maybe a like C level actress in the Bette Midler role and like 2 D level actresses in the other 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be one of their Disney Channel stars. I imagine it's probably gonna be a girl as the lead,
Probably, yeah.
with like a younger brother. Yeah, the cats can't be there because his story's done. Or else they're rebooting it. So,
I could see, like, if they brought back anyone, what was it? He was Eric on Boy Meets World, Ron from Kim Possible.
oh, Will Friedle?
Yeah. I could
was in
see
it?
No, I could see him, like, being the voice of,
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it's Disney Channel, then yeah, he could do that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
but he's like the only one that I could see maybe coming back for this.
All right, but let's take out the Disney Channel equation because that tightens it up. Who would you put in the 3 roles if this was cast like big budget? Disney's going full blown. Who would you want to see that would make you feel better about it?
Chris, who would?
Oh, I have my answer already.
Do you go
No.
for it? Let me keep thinking.
Yeah, it would be. It would have to all be dames. So it would have to be Maggie Smith, Judi Dench, and oh crap, who was the last one I was thinking of? Helen Mirren.
All right.
Yeah.
So so you have imagined a world. So you're like
You do remember
sequel
what they're
reboot.
trying to do with the as witches, what their goal is, right?
I don't remember. All I know is that I don't
Eternal
think of,
youth,
I
right?
Yeah,
don't
they're
think of,
trying to stay young.
I know, but I don't. Hey, they all look great, especially Helen Mirren.
Yes.
I don't think there's a movie yet that has existed with all 3 of them together. So I want this to be the movie that does that.
Well, I mean, that could be interesting, kind of like the Stardust storyline, where now
Yeah.
they're old and they're like really like this is our last chance.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
Yeah. You mock.
I do.
I'd watch it.
I'm gonna go. You know what? Just because why not? I'm gonna go with the 3 Emmas. Let's get Stone, Watson, Roberts in there.
All right,
Okay, that would actually be pretty fun.
that would be pretty fun. Yeah, so you're going like everyone's younger.
Yeah,
All
we're getting the big budgets. I want, for some reason, my first thought was throw in Alison Brie, just because I want Alison Brie in everything.
She could be fun. Like she's kind of got like a dry humor to her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Emma Stone, like she's like broad. Like that's what, watching her on SNL and so much and everything. Like her humor is very much broad. Alison Brie, she's kind of got like a little bit more of it, like a dry humor.
Yeah, and they also, if we would stick to the original story, we need people that can sing, or at least one person
Yeah.
that can sing.
Well, then let's take Emma Watson off that. Beauty and the Beast slam.
Who would you pick?
Ooh.
I'm gonna go home and just like actually recast this whole thing.
All right, so I need
to
to think about this because I think I want to split the difference between where you guys are at and trying to get like the older ladies, but not the dames. So I'm trying to think of. I feel like maybe like a Kerry Washington might be fun. Yeah, but it's who can sing.
I changed my answer to who I want the lead one to be.
Who?
Anne Hathaway.
Oh, all right. Okay, so Anne Hathaway. I'll take that. Anne Hathaway, Kerry Washington, and who's the funny like? So Anne Hathaway's the lead. Kerry Washington will be the Sarah Jessica Parker kind of kooky one, and we need the bumbling one, the Kathy Najimy.
I mean, the obvious answer there is Melissa McCarthy, but I think we can do better.
Yeah, we can do
I don't even know how much she can sing, though.
No.
That's the thing. But also, it really is, you just need Bette Midler to sing. You just need that role to sing.
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy might be good. Maybe
Kate
even
McKinnon.
like Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon. Oh.
Kate McKinnon might be good. I was even going to go 80 Bryant might be good.
Okay.
She'd be fun. Yeah. I like that.
Also, I have an
Smith.
I have an alternative proposal. You take the 3 leads from Hidden Figures.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think you're on. I think you got it.
Yeah.
I think you got it right there.
Yeah.
Because you got Janelle Monáe. She's the singer in that one.
There you go. Yeah.
And then was it Octavia Spencer?
Octavia Spencer and Taraji P. Henderson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh. I like that.
All right.
Let's go with that.
Done it.
Call
There you
Disney,
go,
Cameron.
Disney. I'm on it.
Yeah.
Call
Cameron,
Disney.
can you get on the phone with them real quick? and get that set up for us?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to do any work. I just want some percentages.
Is Roy still alive? One of the Roy G. Disneys? Or?
There is. I assume a Disney is still alive. I don't remember if Roy is still kicking or not.
But now it's like Disney's who's like, I'm just a Disney. I was born not anyone like in the.
No, there's no. I don't think there's any Disneys in the company anymore. I think it's all Iger and the others, Lasseter. we were joking last night. I don't know if you heard, but at Disneyland or Disney California Adventure, they're changing the Paradise Pier to be Pixar Pier. And one of my friends was kind of freaking out, like, what are they going to do with the giant Mickey head? And I'm like, oh, they're just going to plaster John Lasseter's face on the Ferris wheel.
I think he's earned a ride.
Yeah.
At this point.
For sure.
Well, I mean, at this point, it seems like they're slowly but surely turning California Adventure into Pixar Land.
Yeah, I think that's the goal.
Yeah, because you got Radiator Springs is like really the big attraction there.
Bugs Life Land is still the kiddie area.
Oh, yeah. God, Bugs Life. I haven't thought about that.
Well, they
Turns 20 next year.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, they need to do something though, right? Because like you can kind of like if you only have one day, you can pretty much skip all of California Adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 rides that we do. 3 to 4 rides. There are 4 rides that people do. 3 rides that I do.
Yeah.
You have the Toy Story ride, the Cars ride, and Soarin'. And then normal people do Guardians as well. But that's
Is that part of California Adventure?
It is,
Okay.
yeah. Also, I don't like the new Guardians ride. I love Tower of Terror. I don't like the new one. It's very aggressive.
I heard the Halloween one's even worse.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Just gonna skip it entirely.
So Flash, guys.
Yeah. Here's a question.
Going for a race.
Because obviously Weather Wizard leaves something to be desired. I feel like this Bruce Timm
Yeah, I
Weather
agree.
Wizard,
I absolutely
he's
agree. Yeah.
weak. But how do we feel in terms of Miguel Ferrer?
Oh, fantastic.
How does he stack up in terms of the voice actors of all the other baddies of the Bruce? Like, where is him on that list? Like top 10? I think he's at least top 10 in terms of the villains.
I'd say so. I feel like we haven't had great voice actor performances really in Superman.
Yeah, it's really Clancy Brown and then Michael Ironside as Darkseid are the two main
we
ones
haven't
that...
met Darkseid yet. He's made a cameo. He's done a Thanos cameo, but we haven't seen him in action yet.
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe make an argument. I forget the name of the actor who does Brainiac, but like, not necessarily as a standout, but that is a good version, a great version of that character. So there's still performance behind it, even if the performance is deliberately kind of monotone. But I mean, really, it's Batman that has the better voice performances.
Yeah.
I think I'd say that it stacks up pretty well. I mean, they even designed the character in this to look like Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah.
Did Andrea Romano help with Superman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she still voice directed all of it.
Okay.
It's just like everyone.
Didn't
Like
care as
Bruce
much
Timm
as-
was involved and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked about this, but they had a very different vision for the show that ended up happening. Like they had like a complete I think they, again, to bring it back to the fidelity of Richard Donner, I think they wanted to try and strike a little bit more of that tone, but Warner Brothers had him sanitize it a little bit too much.
It does feel really sanitized, especially compared to BTOS.
Well, in the very first episode of us doing Superman, I brought up the question, why isn't this remembered as well as BTOS? And I think just basically what we've been saying in this episode, it shows why. That it's, like you said, it was a different vision that didn't go well. And
and it's weird because like at this point we're working off the John Byrne Man of Steel origin, which wiped out so much of the fun, fantastical stuff of Superman. Like Superboy's gone, so all that is no longer an option for like. There's so much that they had to be beholden to because of what DC was at the time. That really shows because like Batman has never really had a reboot on par with what Superman's had. And so
that's true.
It was a weird time because this is like Lex Luthor is a businessman. He's a business tycoon. When like before, up until the '80s, he'd always been like a scientist.
Yeah,
like he had money and he had wealth and he had his company, but the '80s turned him into Donald Trump as a supervillain, basically. Like
the proto Trump.
Yeah.
I like the business version of Lex Luthor. That mega maniacal, just unscrupulous businessman more so than the mad scientist.
Yeah. Well, like when they had like that No Man's Land storyline in Batman comics, and like wow, he gets involved with that because he just starts buying up property super cheap because it's just like Gotham City's a war zone, so I'm gonna swoop in. LexCorp's gonna be in charge of like the rebuilding process.
Yeah,
I was like, I like when Lex can be utilized for that purpose.
Well, it's more interesting when he has power Superman can't. And that Superman can't really ever take him down because he's so well protected.
Yeah.
That if you have someone who just will always try to do the right thing, get someone who will never do the right thing, like there's only so much actual real conflict you can have where either one can get like a foot over the other.
Yeah, and it's when Lex's failures always come when he fights Superman on his terms.
Yeah.
Like Lex's has a much better victory percentage when he's playing by his terms.
Yeah. Because he goes for like, he gets kind of like the small wins sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I remember Superman for All Seasons.
I actually just read that.
Yeah, he basically poisons Metropolis and then gets this woman who's obsessed with Superman and convinces her, and she's like the antidote. He gives her like this ray gun and tells Superman like, hey, the city's poisoned, but I have the cure with this person. Fly her around and cure everyone. Save the city. But then at the end, it reveals that Lex, by giving the cure, the gun was tied that by time she used all the antidote, she had been infected.
Yeah.
And so he basically destroyed Superman's spirits, but just like, you couldn't save everyone. I put you into no-win situation. And Superman like caved and like left. It was like within his first year the story takes place like his first year being Superman. She's like, I'm done.
Dang.
He just went back to Smallville and let Lex take over the city for a little bit.
Yeah. It's really, really good. It's, again, one of those comics that shows that if you know how to write well for the character, you can make some great stories. I think the problem is that he's a hard character to write for. Mm-hmm. So you don't always get a lot of good ones. Now, I know this episode is supposed to be based off of, like, is it an individual comic with the Flash where they race? Or, like, I think it's happened a few times,
It's happened a few
right?
times at this point. But it's always been like a little trope of the Superman-Flash race.
Yeah.
And they've even had, like, Jay Garrick in Superman race. Mm-hmm. They've had Bart Allen and Superboy, Connell race.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, we're also in a weird time of like the Flash is kind of in a weird spot too in his history because this is Wally West.
Yeah.
And they make like whatever it is, Bruce Timm really thinks that he basically makes the Flash Dash from the Incredibles.
That's what I wanted to ask you about because I only know Flash post Jeff Johns takeover. Mm-hmm. Was he this much of a dick in the comics in the 90s?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
He really was like, and Jeff Johns was the one who sort of, really Mark Waid was the one who put in all the legwork to turn him into an actual superhero. Mm-hmm. But when he was Kid Flash and initially as Flash, he was very showy. He was also like rich for a little bit. He won the lottery and moved into, like, that was one of the things Jeff Johns immediately put the kibosh on when he started. Like, within the first 5 issues, he blew up his nice house and moved Wally back into Keystone City, like, in an apartment, back amongst the people. But there's this weird thing of just believing that a speedster should have ADD. And they really lean into that. Because, this isn't even while it is most annoying and competitive, is not like this in the comic books.
Yeah.
The way he is in the show.
I mean, even when he comes back around for Justice League, he's comical and he's lighthearted, but here he's just kind of a dick.
Yeah, he is very much a dick in this one. Yeah, I think it's got to be Michael Rosenbaum.
That's true.
His voice work.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Lex Luthor does a way
right.
better job of bringing heart to the character.
Well, 'cause I think people mostly know Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville, so they don't know that he has incredible comedic talent, which he brings a lot to, obviously, The Flash.
Yeah.
And Sorority Boys, which is funnier than it should be.
I think he's one of the only actors who have voiced and done a live action portrayal of his character. Technically.
Wait, when did
He voiced Lex Luthor in Justice League Unlimited when they switched brains.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, shit, you're right.
And so technically he is one of the only people who has voiced and portrayed his character live action.
Weirdly enough, Miguel Ferrer also, because it's not.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
he's not
that's why he got cast, because that
Yeah.
bullshit Justice League movie.
I think. Wait, was that? I think that came after this, though. Didn't
No, it was before.
it? Okay.
Or it was, I want to say it was before. I want to say it was at least 5 years before, but it
thought
could have been
I
closer.
think they're both 97, right?
Was it that? I thought it was 80s. Oh my God, that happened in 1997?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the 97 was the TV Justice League movie, and this I can look it up real quick because I have the list going on here. When this
Yeah,
came out.
I want to say he was live action before this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This was September of '97, but they would have been in production probably a few months beforehand. So.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious about this. All right.
Yeah, maybe it
I'm
was
gonna look
like
this up.
corporate synergy or something like that.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, I think they're the two of the few that have done that.
Yeah.
Do you know which actor has played both live action Superman and live action Batman?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
It's my favorite fact. I've probably said it 3 times on the podcast. already.
Is this again on a technicality like mine?
Kind of.
Slightly.
Ben Affleck, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because he
exactly.
played George Reeves.
Yep. Yeah, he dons the suit. You see
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the suit. I've seen the pictures of him. He's in like that. He's in the black and white one.
Yeah, he does a great pudgy George Reeves
Yeah.
in an ill-fitting Superman suit. This just says 97. I need a more specific release date than that. God.
Because there's
Do you have
also, I remember when Batman vs Superman first came out, and there were all these photos, and I couldn't tell which movie they were from of Ben Affleck in bed with Superman's Martha, because she plays his affair. Affairess? What's mistress?
Yeah,
mistress.
Affairess.
Wait.
Yes, Anna Faris. Yeah.
Wait, Diane Lane played like Lois in Hollywoodland, or the actress who played, or is that what you're saying?
No, the who allegedly murdered him, George Reeves.
Ooh, I don't know.
It was whoever was running MGM at the time.
Okay.
It was his wife.
Okay.
Because George Reeves was sleeping with his wife.
Tony Mannix.
All right.
Well, Mannix is the
Eddie Mannix.
Yeah, Eddie Mannix
Yeah.
is the kind of like security guard. He was
Okay.
his right hand man. He's the one that supposedly pulled the trigger, but no one knows.
Okay, then
Well, it was one of those weird. Well, but it's like officially a suicide, right? Like that's.
Yeah, the police reports say suicide.
Yeah. Well, I like what's weird is my sister's friend. My sister, she's 6 years older than me, and I want to say like 12 years ago, very similar thing happened to one of her friends in Sacramento.
Oh,
like
shit.
he was ruled a suicide, but it's just like, really? Like he like shot himself, but it's like he shot himself in like in the chest and like I think in the head, and it's just like, yeah, no. Like that was like public opinion was just like he was murdered. Police report was committed suicide.
fucked
Yeah,
up.
it's really strange.
Yeah. I've never actually seen Hollywoodland. Is it any good?
Eh.
It's coming from Cameron, so it must be real bad.
It's not really the best. It like helped Ben Affleck because I think it was one of his first good roles like post Bennifer.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's
that
like
Hollywoodland
2006.
was 5 or 6.
Yeah, so he was coming off something. I think it was part of his rebound tour. I think that's when he got like with Jennifer Gardner.
I think
Oh,
so.
yeah, because when did Daredevil come out?
3.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So this was part of his like rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, remember Ben Affleck's actually good.
Yeah. And then he's come back around?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just older, so he's making shittier movies, but they're of higher quality.
This is true. makes really mediocre Oscar-bation films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because so I was trying to figure out there's a couple things that like didn't quite make sense for me in this episode. Like how so I don't know anything about weather wizards. So like because in this one it's this weird thing where the Flash and Superman are wearing these bands like generating ionic energy to then power his machine, which is him pointing the wand at like the globe, and then that causes a storm there. I feel like that's not how it's normally done.
Yeah, no, that was one
I had
thing.
a lot of questions about that.
That was one thing that
I
Chris and I talked about was the fact that this is like weirdly the most powerful weather wizard has ever been in this issue. Because he has the ability to create weather storms, control the weather anywhere on Earth with the way it's depicted here.
Yeah.
But traditionally he doesn't need this ionic charge that they need. He just has literally a wand. Like it looks like a Harry Potter kind of wand that glows, and he controls the weather within his immediate vicinity. It's almost like a tech version of Storm.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was. Because I know I haven't watched The Flash in a few seasons, but the pilot was Weather Wizard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like that.
It was the original Martin, and then he dies, and then they bring back Mark Martin. Mark Martin's traditionally the weather wizard, but it was his brother was.
Like, did they develop the same powers?
Yeah, they got struck at the same time, and so one of them came back, and then the other one came back. They never came back together.
Okay, yeah, because I think is it part of the normal canon that he has a brother?
Yeah,
in this?
The normal canon is that his brother invented the wand, and then he killed his brother for it.
Okay.
But it has changed. It has kind of waffled back and forth depending on how sympathetic the writer has been as to whether or not he found his brother murdered or he did it himself.
Because he tried in this episode.
Yeah, it seemed. I think it's like a 40-60 split.
Okay.
And I want to say it's never confirmed. Like I don't think they've. I mean, if they ever depicted it, it would have been Silver Age. Because I think every other time, if they've really gone back, Johns might have when he did his Rogues profile on him. But Johns was even sympathetic towards him, and so I think it's sort of a weird split between whether or not Martin killed his own brother or not.
Okay, yeah, because here he makes a rather half-assed attempt. He's just like,
yeah,
there's gonna be some snow, and
I am
going to
lose
say
traction. The Flash TV shows had such an influence on my depiction of Flash that when the machine starts to blow up, you see the spiral kind of come out of it. I'm like, oh, they're going to have to do their run in the opposite direction thing. So, all right, let's get this over with. And I was so ready for it, and it never came, and I was kind of upset.
Yeah, it's funny that, the animation Flash and live-action Flash kind of develop their own power sets and have their own go-tos just because of the nature of the production. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Barry runs in circles a lot in the show.
Yeah. Whereas here we get the Flash spinning around in a kind of stationary circle to draw the oil out of the water.
Yeah.
Where did that go, by the way?
I don't know. I was waiting for Superman to bring something to hold it in or something.
Yeah, it's like the weather wizard crashes a ship full with a whole bunch of Australians.
Did you hear what they said, Chris?
What?
I brought it up last week.
What?
They all scream squall. White Squall.
Did they actually say
that? They did.
No shit.
I was so excited. There was a 90s movie called White Squall.
Yeah.
That I was trying to explain to Chris last week, and a squall is a giant kind of gust of wind that creates a giant wave in the middle of the ocean. And it's like a term that no one knows, and no one should know it, because we all live on land. And they said it in this episode, and I got unnecessarily excited.
Oh my god! They said it with Australian accents too.
Yeah, but
really bad Australian accents. I don't think there's a single voice actor in this episode that's actually Australian.
That's fine.
Yeah, because then the thing crashes, and then they kind of figure out, oh, there's something going on here. What kind of threw me off too, and Trevor, I don't remember how well you remember this episode, but so that incident happens, and then from there they go off to go meet with the military or whatever who has been contacted by Weather Wizard. I was confused. Were they still doing the race at that point, or have they now committed to going off on the side mission?
I think it was half and half.
Okay,
I think what they tend to do is hey, we still have this thing, but we're also superheroes. We have to save the day. But it's that's I think another thing is they sort of up the cheese factor with Superman in this. Of this is the Superman who just make sure to eat your vegetables.
Oh yeah, I think that's why they also made Flash such a dick, was be because you couldn't have another nice guy next to Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely right, because Barry's probably even more of a square than Superman is, or they are neck and neck in the comic books.
Yeah.
Barry wears like flat top hair and a bow tie all the time.
He was chosen to be the Blue Lantern over Superman.
Yeah,
Which one's blue again?
Hope, my favorite one.
Okay.
Even though, Superman's symbol is an
On my
S.
planet, it means hope.
it's actually an S. Superman. Stop trying to sell it.
Yeah, I know. Just commit to it. That was one of my favorite things from Earth One, was that they just like acknowledged that the S stands for Superman.
Yeah,
Because like Jonathan has that great speech about how he knew someone in marketing. The whole idea was like you have to like rally behind a symbol. So he's just like, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and call you. I'm gonna call you Superman. It's gonna be
I'm
Superman.
going to call you S-Man.
Yeah, because they even did that in this.
S-Man. What is that up in the sky? It's a bird, it's a plane, it's S-Man.
able to leap a tall building at a single bound, faster than a locomotive. It's Sman.
That character would have died so fast. Like no one would have bought a comic for Sman. Well, in the 30s they might have. They didn't have a lot of options really.
It's like a cross promotion with s'mores.
Yeah.
I
It's
just
the
finished.
smallest man.
I just finished a book about the whole history of comic books, and like during like the reason why comic books had a boom is just it was a general magazine boom. So there probably is a Sman somewhere out there. Just gotta sell books. God, everyone's having success. Gotta sell books. So there's probably a Sman out there.
What was the book you read about comic books?
It's called Men of Tomorrow
Okay.
by Gerard Jones.
Okay.
It's really good. I've had it for 12 years and finally read it.
Okay.
It was one of those that just kept traveling with me, and like I'm going to read it. And I
read
read the foreword a bunch, and then finally read it.
Yeah, because I was just listening to an episode of Do Go On with Nick Mason from the podcast The Two Worlds. No, you guys the podcast The Two Worlds.
I don't remember Dugan Mason.
From the Weekly Planet. And yeah, he did his whole thing was about particularly Marvel, but just overall history of comics. And there's tons of stuff I didn't know about.
Oh yeah, it's insane. DC was built by a former socialist accountant and a former racketeer. Like those are the two heads of DC: Harry Donenfeld and Jack Leibowitz.
Okay.
Jack Leibowitz worked for. His dad was big into socialism, and so he like ran the books for like the socialist or like the unions.
Yeah.
And then Harry Donenfeld grew up with like all the New York gangsters, like Lucky Luciano, Frank Costello, like all those big guys. And so he like when he got into like he printed like nudie mags and stuff like that, like girly magazines. That's what he originally printed and what he wanted to print, and stumbled ass backwards into comic books and stumbled ass backwards into Superman.
Yeah.
And
I
just
feel like that's a lot of people just like accidentally fell into the comic world.
Yeah. A lot of them. It was either fell back as plans sort of were curtailed or shifted because of the Depression. It's like all these guys came of age, like they were all entering the workforce just as it all fucking hit.
Yeah.
And so they like that's why Leibowitz, he was just gonna be happy working socialist, running the books for them, but then everything hit and he realized the power of capitalism, trying to scrape together money during the Depression. It's a really fascinating book. It's mostly about Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, the creators of Superman, and Harry Donenfeld and Jack Leibowitz.
Okay.
It's mostly those four. It goes a little into like Stan Lee and a lot of the editors at It's mostly focused on like DC,
Okay.
as opposed to Marvel, because Marvel really, the way we understand Marvel, doesn't come around until the '60s.
Yeah.
It's like Timely and Atlas and like Stan Lee's there. You got Joe Simon, Jack Kirby. Like those guys are around, but really Marvel doesn't become Marvel till the '60s, which is like 20 years after comic books have like started and Superman's been around.
Well, and at least based on what like this other podcast I listened to was saying, that it was actually the silver age of DC that kind of led to Marvel doubling down on their characters and like pushing out the Fantastic Four. Was that right? Is that
Yeah, that's good. I mean, because all of Marvel is an answer to DC.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four was an answer to team books.
Yeah.
I want to say maybe Challengers. Is a combination of responding to Challengers of the Unknown and the Justice League.
Yeah.
The Justice League of America.
Justice League, that was 60.
That's 50-something.
Oh, that's right. All my history of when this happened, again, is based purely off of New Frontier.
Yeah.
But I know that it happens like according to the real timeline.
61 is when Marvel starts. That's when Fantastic Four starts, is 61.
Okay.
And so, yeah, DC is really the only guy in the game at that point in terms of superheroes.
Yeah.
There's a little smattering of stuff here and there, but at that point they become this monolith that they took out. Like Charleston's already gone. EC's already shifted.
And they later bought up Charleston, right?
Yeah,
Because that's what the Watchmen characters is.
yeah. They're based on. I don't know if they had bought them by that time. I think it wasn't until the 80s.
Okay.
But they also like shut down like whoever I forget who did Shazam, Captain Marvel. Like they shut him down, like cited him as a Superman imitator.
Oh, that's right. And then they just shut him down and then bought him up.
Yeah.
And now he's actually called Shazam.
Because
Right?
Marvel came around and created Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's confusing now.
It just makes more sense, honestly. That was always kind
Well,
of
that
weird.
lasted until like the late 80s or 90s is when
I don't think-
started that argument.
Yeah, well, I don't think he became officially Shazam until New 52. So he hasn't even been officially considered Shazam by DC for a decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, he started off as the first challenger to Superman's dominance and succeeded until DC's legal team came in.
The most powerful hero of them all.
And felled by lawyers. It's like Lex Luthor. He's the one who wins.
Yeah.
It's always Lex Luthor. So I don't know much about the Flash's background, and I've always wondered why they chose Wally West for the...
At this point, Wally West has been
DCEU.
the Flash for 10 years.
Okay.
At this point in comic book history, Barry Allen has now moved into Bucky Barnes' Uncle Ben territory.
That's right, because he
Gwen
died
Stacy,
during...
Crisis.
During Crisis, okay.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
Which was 85, 86. And so this is, 97? So it's around the same time. So 11 years he's been gone.
Barry sacrificed himself. Wasn't that like the first time he like sacrificed himself into the Speed Force?
Yes.
It was the first time two major superheroes died in a comic series.
Well, 'cause it was Barry Allen and then Supergirl, right?
Power Girl.
No,
right?
Supergirl dies.
Oh, is it Supergirl? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's-
Power Girl lives and starts her journey into continuity nightmare. Yeah, because Power Girl is Earth 2 Supergirl.
Yeah.
But then, hey, there's one Earth, and it became a whole huge mess from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was like cleaning house.
Because it was like back-to-back issues, too. Because I used to have them all hanging above my bed.
Yeah, because you got the iconic cover of it's Superman. Supergirl goes 1st. Superman holding her body and like crying out, and then the other one is Flash. I think it's Flash holding Psycho Pirate.
Yes,
it's like
that's
the
what it
final
is.
run of the Flash. But it's also like the Speed Force isn't even an idea at the time of Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's something Mark Waid came up in the mid '90s. So yeah, Barry Allen's like dead. Like the idea of him sacrificing himself to the Speed Force is not there. He's just gone.
Okay.
And then like as Mark Waid built the idea of the Speed Force, he started bringing it in. He actually did a really good story kind of addressing, because everyone's like, when's Barry Allen going to come back? When's Barry Allen going to come back? And then he had the story, like one of his first signature stories, The Return of Barry Allen, in which Wally's sort of like has to question his identity. Like, was I doing this just because? And he's also confronted with like his lack of being able to suppress Barry's speed and everything. And Barry Allen just shows up out of the blue on his doorstep. And he's like, hey, I'm back. And then, spoiler alert, it turns out that it's Eobard Thawne in disguise. But it gave the opportunity for Wally to confront his lingering issues of replacing Barry and taking on the mantle. And seeing Eobard Thawne threaten to take the mantle pushes him beyond any hesitation he has of like, well, if I replace Barry, then Barry's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, but if you don't replace him, someone else will. And this person is much, much worse. And so it's a really good story. But yeah, Barry Allen that's why they went with Wally West. So as
Okay.
far as anyone is concerned, it's like him and Kyle Rayner are locked into their positions. Hal Jordan and Barry Allen gone, finito.
Yeah, because we meet the version of Green Lantern we meet in this series is also meet Kyle Rayner, but he has
He's my favorite.
in the show he has Hal Jordan's origin.
Yes,
Now I guess
but Kyle Rayner's occupation. 'Cause
I was going to say, like, he's not a comic?
He's still an artist, but he has full on Hal Jordan's origin.
Okay.
yeah, like even I think Abin Sur is even in that episode.
Yeah, and I think Wally West has Barry's origin too.
So
they don't go into it. It's
I think it's implied in a JLU episode. I want to say.
yeah, there's something where he's like put into, I think it's like a Grodd episode or something like that, where he goes into his own head. He's like sent into his own head, in like a trippy scene, and it shows like him becoming the lightning bolt and the lightning bolt chasing him, and he gets struck in a lab against all these chemicals, like Barry Allen.
Yeah, because we actually never even got confirmation he was Wally West in the story until Starcrossed, when they all have to reveal their secret identities. And that's a great moment where Batman just goes, Clark Kent, Wally West, and he pulls his own helmet, like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Oh, goddamn.
That's a great moment.
So good. But so in the comics, though, does Wally West have Barry Allen's origin, or how did he get
No, okay, so, well, he does, but he doesn't.
Okay.
Because, like every sidekick, they basically just copy the origin and turn it to a kid.
Yeah. Kill the parents.
And so this is actually something funny that we check, we continually check for as we return back to it into the comic books, me and Chris, whether or not Barry is dressed as the Flash when it's happening.
Okay.
And it changes. Like you sometimes you see Barry Allen dressed as the Flash witnessing it, then you see Barry Allen in his lab coat with the bow tie witnessing it. But basically the original version of it was Wally West, nephew of Iris, is obsessed with the Flash. And so Iris talks to Barry, and he sets up a meeting. He's like, oh, come to my crime lab. It's a really funny moment where he walks in as Barry Allen, opens the door, and runs so fast that he turns into the Flash on the other side of the door. So Wally's like, oh, my gosh. And then while they're hanging out in his crime lab, Wally is struck by a bolt of lightning, just like Barry. And then he becomes Kid Flash. Like his original suit was just a mini version of the Flash costume.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So if you see like old comics, you see like two Flashes running around, and that's Wally as a kid. It's not
the great Superman story where he just made a replicant of himself, just tinier.
That was an actual Superman story?
Yeah.
What?
From like the late 50s or 60s.
Of course it was.
Well, yeah. Well, because they Superboy's had an even weirder journey because of the legal challenges. That was, again, from that book, I learned, because I always knew that there was a weird Superboy case constantly always pending, and it was because Jerry Siegel pitched the idea of Superboy, but it was going to be more like a prankster book. Like, it's just like Superman's kind of a dick, and so this one was going to be him using like powers to like play tricks on people and like kind of mess around, like not necessarily be a dick, but definitely having fun with his powers in a way that Superman never does in the books.
Okay. So it kind of sounds like Archie, but
yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's like more like one of those like slapstick like humor books with superpowers. But then DC's like, nah, we're good until after their 10-year contract. So from like 39 to 49, they're under contract with DC, getting like freelance work, whatever. Like it's basically just entitled that they're contracted out. Like towards the end, everyone's at each other's throats that they are not getting work, but they're still under contract. And so once that contract expires, DC launches Superboy as like, oh, it's a product of DC Comics. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster had nothing to do with this. And that's when it became a little bit more wholesome, more like giving the origin of like Superboy's, or like where Superman got stuff.
Oh, okay. Because I know...
But yeah, but then because of that, they had to like change the origin up a bunch and like create like different like little Superboy stuff. And like that's why we have like Con-El for so long, the clone of Superman and Superboy. Just because of the constant legal challenges against the character.
Oh, I didn't know all of that. I know that there's a long-going battle between the creators and DC. I think that's because I know it's like whenever you see them credited, it's always like in special permission by I think the Jerry Siegel estate or something like that.
It's not until the Donner films that they got. That was the first time that they got the credit. Superman created by Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster. Because that also shows 39 to 1977, no credit.
Yeah.
These guys are living in poverty. Joe Shuster goes blind.
Oh, my God.
Like, he was already kind of going blind.
Yeah.
But without any healthcare or any insurance or any protection from DC, he fully loses his eyesight. Like, I think he's legally blind for, like, the last couple of decades of his life. And so, like, there goes his livelihood.
Yeah.
Jerry Siegel's working, like, as a patent clerk for a while after... Because Jerry Siegel was also, like, a very proud man. And so when he kind of got fucked over by DC, he didn't evolve beyond it. He got stuck in it. The other interesting thing about Jerry Siegel and why he might feel like why he kind of got screwed over because he's in, like, a perpetual childhood. His dad was killed when he was, like, 12.
Oh, shit.
And, like, his dad ran... a little market, and he got killed in a botched robbery. And so, like, yeah, Jerry Siegel grew up without a dad, and that's a lot of people kind of think like that's his strong belief in justice and like catching the bad guy stems from this early childhood trauma of losing his father.
Dang.
Oh yeah,
It's a very educational podcast.
I know, yeah.
Superman is built on a foundation of terrible, terrible things.
Yeah. And this is when all of our listeners realize they should just listen to your podcast. You actually know things about comics, and we don't know shit.
I'm a history nerd, and so combined with comic book is just a match made in heaven. Yeah, but anyway, The Flash.
The Flash. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because, like, I don't know. Like, that's what I'm asking these questions. Like, the plot of the episode is pretty straightforward. It's like they team up.
Yeah.
They take out Weather Wizard. I do have a question for you guys. What do you think about the Rocky 3 ending there at the end?
Oh, how they run off and
Yeah, so we don't know who's actually going to win the race.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I needed like a good 80s song.
Yeah, right?
Like I feel like Living on a Prayer should have played
I think
as it like slowly faded into the credits.
Fuck, I mean, just if you're going to take the reference, just steal it completely. Just throw Eye of the Tiger onto the end as they run off into the distance.
yeah, and then like have it go like to the pastel like thing.
Yeah. Or just do the switch and it turns into a live action scene.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's one thing I remember from Jeff Johns. Like one of the things he like, I always remember him from interviews when he first took over the Flash was just like, Flash wins those races every time.
Yeah.
Because if you take that away from him, that he's not the fastest, then what the fuck is the Flash for?
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point if he is a speedster and he's not faster than Superman? It's like, yeah. So there's he has that response in Flash Rebirth where the two of them are racing. And Superman runs alongside Barry trying to like get him to stop because he's going through some stuff at the time. And so he's like, you know what, like I've raced you before. In fact, I even won some of those races. And Barry's just like, those are for charity. Boom. Like leaves Superman in the dust. He's like, not even.
Yes.
Like, yeah. So yeah, Flash won it. Hands down, I do not doubt it for a second. Flash will win every race every time.
Yeah.
Except maybe Jake Garrick. Jake Garrick and Bart Allen maybe could be beat by Superman. But True Boo, Flash, Wally West, or Barry Allen, no. Can't stop.
Do you think at some point we're going to have Henry Cavill racing off against Ezra Miller in the DCEU?
That'd be interesting. That's something that you don't really get like a sense of in the movies is Superman's speed.
No.
Because that's like Smallville, like when they had the...
We see him break the sound... You see him go into Mach 1 at least.
Break the sound barrier.
Yeah.
In Man of Steel, right? I think when he first takes off. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have the
but you don't get a ground sense. Because I just think about Smallville. Because they did something similar in Smallville in the Impulse Flash episode.
Oh, that's right.
With Bart Allen. And then they're just running off. They're like having a little race. And then Bart just, like without breaking stride, just turns around. Like he either gives like a little like one of these or like a wink.
I think he winks.
And
he's
gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I did love that. I mean, we talk about Smallville a lot because it's like one of the few Superman properties we've both seen. But like it does do a lot of stuff well, and I actually kind of liked that their solution, like, well, he can't fly, is that's his whole thing, is he can still run
insanely fast.
Yeah, he was the Blur. Like that was his code name for probably 3 seasons.
3 seasons like that. Yeah, but they gave him a lot of those kind of Flash-esque moments where he just like zip over and zip back and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, like Smallville's just sort of had the same problem as every long-running genre. Yeah. Around season 7, it really fucking lost its way.
Yeah.
Season 8 got some it got reinvigorated because season 8, 9, and 10 they had way more leeway to bring in DC property.
Yeah.
That was always Miller and Go. Their problem was both by choice and by Warner Brothers DC edict. It's just Superman. It's just small. It's just these characters. And then they got a chance to like actually like develop the characters and also like do them in a ways that like were actually true to them.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, yeah, it's Bart Allen, but he's gonna be wearing a vest and like goggles and Cyborg is just Lee Thompson Young with nothing.
With nothing, yeah.
Yeah, you get the shout out of the X-ray vision of seeing what's under his skin of like, oh, that's the Cyborg stuff. But yeah, it's like. But then Smallville's 8, 9, and 10, they got to be a little bit more of a traditional superhero show.
Yeah, they sort of leaning much heavier into all that stuff.
Yeah,
and, like some of their designs are actually like pretty cool.
Well, those last couple of seasons are the bridge between Smallville and the Arrowverse.
Yeah,
and the Dead Aquaman show.
Yeah, Justin Hartley.
May it rest in peace.
This is us.
Yeah,
yeah. I know he finally found it. I always like felt bad that he did Smallville and then like went off to go do like I think like soap opera or something. Like that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, good. He found his way again.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, I always liked him as
Green
Green Arrow.
I liked it too. I
Yeah,
liked
it was a great Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt because I mean, and also that was the start of the tradition of we can't use Batman, so Arrow.
Yeah. Yeah, because
So Oliver Queen, step up.
I in a weird way I
With
almost feel
Oracle.
like
We're going to steal Oracle.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, and really make her terrible.
yeah, freaking Chloe, Watchtower, and then Overwatch.
Yeah.
With fucking Felicity. Just give me a redhead behind a computer. I don't
Yeah.
need these blondes stealing Barbara Gordon's thunder.
Do you think? Because we're gonna, I guess I already know the answer to this. We're gonna get Barbara at some point in the new films, but they're doing Batgirl, so she probably won't be Oracle. They'll probably be more like the Batgirl Burnside sort of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's a weird thing too. Like her and Gwen Stacy, there's been like it seems like a general fandom, like, not flashback, just like pushback.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Of the abuse done to them.
Yeah.
Because like Gwen Stacy, like Emma Stone, and then everything that they were kind of doing with like Ultimate Spider-Man with that Gwen Stacy, and then Spider-Gwen and all that stuff is really just like, what the fuck did you guys kill her? Like you get like they at the time, like you can see it was just like male writers don't know how to write a female outside of being in a relationship with the superhero.
Yeah.
But yeah, the two of those characters have been like has been a real pushback of them being victims and in those roles. Like, no, these are characters. If Bruce Wayne or any one of these characters got shot in the back, they'd be back. Batman had his back broken by Bane.
I know. But he's
super
back.
and Barbara Gordon didn't even get shot in the spine. She got shot through the stomach. I mean, maybe it curved and hit the spine, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. But she didn't have a giant 600-pound man snap her like a twig.
I know.
And so, yeah. And if Felicity can fucking walk again in the show,
Oh, that's right. They did that. Oh, yeah. Some weird, crazy
why the fuck did they paralyze her in the first place?
Ray Palmer technology thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I stopped watching the whole Arrowverse as soon as it went off Hulu because I'm like, I liked all those shows, but not enough to watch every one of them with 20 minutes of commercials for other CW shows.
Yeah. I mean, if you have Netflix, it's nice to go back.
Yeah.
Arrow had a really good season.
That's good to hear.
Flash, admittedly, it was touch and go.
Yeah.
Like they really like took some swings that really missed.
I've heard
past
Supergirl's
season.
been pretty good though.
Yeah. Oh, Supergirl was really good.
Yeah.
It benefited from going to the CW. Like it lost Callista Flockhart.
But I think she comes back and
In a few
moments here and there,
episodes,
yeah.
yeah, but it's like you realize how much her presence matters, but you also realize how much it was not the show that CBS wanted it to be.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it splits the difference of like, you really wish you could have Callista Flockhart within it because she's such a strong presence. Also, spoiler alert, they have established that Supergirl is the most powerful Kryptonian on Earth.
Interesting.
Because in season finale, she fights Superman and whoops his ass. He gets taken over. I was surprised because like that's the one thing is I never really enjoy the still photos that come out of the CW stuff. Like I hated the Flash's costume when it first showed up. I didn't like the casting of the Superman. But then when you see them like lived in, it's like, oh no, they fucking know what they're doing. The Flash
Yeah.
costume looks great. Superman was really good. I really like what they did, especially in the wake of Henry Cavill and all that stuff. It's just like, fucking finally, just a Superman who gets that he's a good person.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's mind controlled, fights Supergirl because he sees her as Zod, which is one of the bad castings of the Arrowverse, is whoever they got. I don't know if they'll ever address Zod in the storyline, but the guy that they got for the random scene that they needed Zod to be in looked awful.
They're kind of bad about that. Like even their version of like Ra's al Ghul,
Yeah.
not particularly great.
Yeah, they're not the best casting of the villains.
No.
Outside, I mean, if it's a recurring villain, if it's like Captain Cold,
Captain Cold's great. Yeah.
Mark
Malcolm
Miller.
Merlin.
Yeah.
Merlin.
Yeah.
Deathstroke is
Heatwave.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Manu Bennett for Deathstroke.
Yeah, it seems like where they really fuck up is the single castings
Yeah.
of just like the one-off characters, like really.
I still think the weirdest one was Captain Boomerang, where they just made him way too cool.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang sucked. Yeah. But that was also weird because they had like the weird Suicide Squad that got shot in the foot after the Suicide Squad movie was
Oh yeah. They started to gear up to that, and then like,
Yeah.
no, we got to pull back on this.
But yeah, but the Superman in Supergirl was really cool, but then they have this really awesome beatdown fight, and Supergirl wins. And
That's
then later
awesome.
on in the episode, he establishes like, I thought you were Zod, so I was fighting at full strength. So if you beat me legitimately. And it's just like, fuck yeah. She's like, then I'm the, and because they have a call for a champion of Earth to fight on behalf of Earth against the Daxamites, or who they're fighting.
Oh, okay. Mon-El.
Yeah. So it's Mon-El's storyline coming to a head. And so Superman's like, hey, I'm not the champion. You're the one who just beat me in single combat, so it's you. And so it's like, all right, I love it. Like, that's what's cool. Is like they like, as much as they are willing to go like dark and gritty with like Arrow, they understand that their bright, shiny characters are served way better when they're in able to act in that way.
Yeah, I'd say in general they seem to understand their characters pretty well. I feel like, do you feel like they understand Barry well on the show?
Yeah. I mean, they just don't understand him enough to realize that he should be blonde. But other than that,
maybe one day he'll go fast enough where his hair will just start to change.
Yeah,
it'll just go blonde, just go white.
Just even like find one way, like just a little throwaway thing, like what Smallville used
He has
to do.
to go undercover.
Yeah, and like put him in a little blonde.
It.
Yeah, put him in a little blonde wig or something.
That
like
was one thing. So it was such a small little detail of this episode. When you first see Weather Wizard kind of like taking off his lab coat and stuff, he takes off his wig to reveal the exact same hairstyle, just like half a shade lighter.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
But he took the mustache off. That was the big one.
Yeah, he took the mustache off.
I don't know. The guy I saw had dark brown hair, and that's light brown.
Can't be him.
It can't be him.
The voice sounds exact the same though, very distinct. But it's the hair
No.
just ruins it.
This guy had a mustache. You sure it wasn't fake? No.
No,
I
no
know
way
a
it's
fake
possible.
mustache when I see it.
This guy has these weird glasses on.
He sounds and looks a lot like the cokehead executive from RoboCop, but it's not him. Whatever. Just let him go.
Wait, real quick, who? So when he's in the disguise, he reminds me of the sleazy guy from Die Hard. What's that character's name again? Like
Hans Gruber?
No, but like the guy who's like buttering up to Hans who gets shot in the head.
Oh,
Hans
yeah.
Booby. Like, what's that guy's?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Douchebag.
The douchebag.
lawyer,
I want to say
yeah.
like Walter Peck, but that's just like that's the go-to douchebag guy.
Yeah.
That is same actor, wrong movie, all that stuff. So okay, as we wrap this up, question for you, Trevor. Amongst many questions we've asked you, do you think? Because the most mainstream version of the Flash now we have at this point would be probably the DCEU Wally West and the Flash Barry Allen. Like, which one of those two do you think has done a better job of like portraying the character effectively?
All right, wait. Give me the so the Arrowverse Barry,
Yeah,
and the Bruce Timm Wally.
Which one has done a better job like with the Flash?
Ooh.
Not necessarily like more accurate versions of those specific characters,
Yeah.
but just like the Flash in general. Because especially in the DCEU, like the fact that it's Wally West is pretty minimal. Like you could almost just say it's Barry Allen,
Well, I mean,
so.
they took so much of Barry Allen.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, he's an amalgam of the two. I want to say the Grant Gustin live action one.
Okay.
Just like I don't like. It's just because I don't think that's necessarily the Flash.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe the Flash of the time of the 90s, like that sort of like more spastic, chaotic character, like the more ADD character. But no, I think the Flash is always. The Flash is a scientifically minded character, which has always been the problem of Wally West.
Yeah.
Is the fact that he isn't that. He's a blue collar guy, and that's the angle you always take with Wally. And I don't think they really necessarily even leaned into that of him being like a blue collar worker, because he's still like a scientist. He's like a lab rat in the DCEU. And so yeah, I think. I mean, it's also just has the benefit of the Grant Gustin live action one is focused on him, and so and the DCEU stuff. You kind of have to. He's always in the background. He's the second banana but he's like he stands out. But he's like subservient to Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But then also subservient to the other three characters because they're all like he's the younger brother. He's the little bratty younger brother. And I don't think that's Barry Allen. I mean, Barry Allen. Like we said, Barry Allen's the heart of the Justice League. Him or John Jones.
Yeah, the only I feel like in the Timmverse, the only time we really see that is his fight versus Brainiac Lex.
Yeah,
that's kind of his only time to stand out.
Yeah, and the fact that Justice Lords form because of his death, but that's also within like the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Well, okay. In terms of individual moments, there's an episode you guys are gonna. There's a Flash Justice League Unlimited episode where it's like the Flash Museum.
Oh, I vaguely recall.
And
Yeah, because that's the one with
Mark Hamill.
Yes.
Oh,
love that
again,
episode. Love that episode so much.
another person who has portrayed both in live action and in cartoons
That's
their
true. Yeah,
character,
that's true, yeah.
Trickster. Yeah, but in that, like, they had Trickster be like a he had like mental health problems. Like
Yeah.
that's why he and Barry didn't, or Wally didn't
One
fight
of my
him.
favorite scenes.
Yeah. It's like on par. It's a little. It doesn't have the heart of it, but it's like on par with the Batman Ace scene at the end.
Yeah, I was
an
gonna
epilogue.
bring that up.
Yeah, and that's. I don't think that the CW version has gone into that yet. And that's one thing that the CW version, like Chris and I talk about this all the fucking time. I want to see an episode of just a superhero show. None of them have ever done this, ever. The cartoons probably have. But I want to see something like you see in the comic books where it's just the slice of life.
Yeah.
Where it's just Barry Allen going through his day and like he's using his powers sporadically here and there, like go get pizza for his friends or stop someone from absentmindedly walking into the street. Like those little things, or like Spider-Man just swinging around town, just getting into scrapes, stopping like kind of what they do in the movie. Like that little thing of how that 15-minute montage of him just like saving people with bikes, giving directions to that woman.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I want to see something like that way more in superhero stuff. I want to see it a little bit more mundane and how these characters live their day to day. And I think the Bruce Timm universe got closer to that, much more closer than the live action Grant Gustin one has.
Yeah. Well, I think the animated series has an advantage, which that we spend the majority of our time with them in costume.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think there's like only one section ever in the whole universe where like the Flash has his mask off, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Flex.
probably that same
It's
episode.
the same episode, yeah. So we can have those smaller moments because most of the time they are being big and super heroic. Whereas in the TV show, he's in the costume a third of the time, maybe on the generous side of an individual episode.
Yeah.
But I agree with you entirely. Like those are some of like the moments we talk about the most often are those like cool little moments. Like
Yeah.
I love the Christmas episode of Justice League.
Yeah.
Where they all kind of go off and do their own thing. You can see like Superman is like still a little kid, like his parents have to wrap his presents in lead so he can't see through them. Like these fun little things we don't get in this sort of stuff.
And that's like some of the worst episodes of The Flash have been a villain of the week or an unneeded antagonist throwing off the charm and fun of a much simpler story happening on the side.
Yeah.
And it's just like a lot of the second Earth 2 episode has Geomancer, the fucking worst wannabe Captain Cold guy. He's just like, I need the Flash. It's like, who the hell are you? This is your first episode.
Yeah,
And
why do
you're
we care about
talking
you?
like you're like his arch nemesis. And it's like the whole episode would have been just fine with the other stuff. They just expanded that out. We didn't need like this fight action stuff. Like again, like action can be feats of strength. Spider-Man with the boat, Superman lifting the island. It's maybe not as exciting, but it can be just as visually dynamic.
yeah.
And so yeah, I want to see someone take a risk and have a boring episode of a superhero thing. Even like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That like why haven't we had just like a day in the life, especially when it's a Joss Whedon show technically.
Yeah.
Like, why don't we have any, like, a day, just an episode where just, like, nothing's going on? How do the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. get through their day?
Yeah.
Like, something like that.
Yeah. I would love to see that too. I don't think we're going to see it in the shows. We're definitely not going to see it in the DCEU.
Yeah. Well, it's like, we're not going to see it in Netflix because those are 13 episodes at most. They got to get their stories going. We're definitely not going to see it in the Defenders, where it's just go, go, go. But when you got a 22-episode season... And I can tell you right now, there are stinkers in every single season.
A lot of them
trying
get
to
dragged out.
Yeah, trying to extend the episode count. And yeah, like, just take a chance to do something quieter.
There was some critic who made the comment that a show is only as good as its filler.
Yeah.
It was,
yeah.
it was an article talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I fully agree with that. And I think that's what you're asking for. It's just like a nice filler episode where we can just focus. Like, it doesn't even have to be focused on Barry. Like, we can have an episode about the supporting characters.
Yeah.
And just flesh them out more, where it's not like a life or death situation.
Yeah, I want to see Iris file a goddamn story.
Yeah, right?
Like,
Actually doing her job.
yeah.
Yeah, we barely even get that in this. Like, we don't get actually a lot of Clark being a reporter yet. We might get some more down the line.
I mean, that's I've complained about it enough, but that's my big problem with Lois,
Lois, yeah.
is they don't do anything with her.
Yeah.
They started off giving her such a strong... I made the analogy that she is the Bruce side of Batman because she's the one that has all the connections. She can get into places because of being the reporter she is.
And she gets into Bruce Wayne.
Oh, yeah. But
Spoiler alert if you haven't... Have you guys gotten to that? Mm-mm. When is... So that was done during...
It's later on this season, so I think we're
So that
couple
was
months out for us.
So that was done as part of Superman?
So,
Or are we in a time where Superman the Animated Series and BTOS are running? Because I mean, I'm assuming we've transitioned into the new designs of Batman.
Yeah, so we finished out BTOS. We started Superman, did season 1, we're now in season 2. Very soon, actually. It's
New
kind of hard for
Batman
me to
is
look
gonna
up.
start
like,
to
actually,
Okay.
within I
bleed
think
in.
the next maybe 2, if not next week, I think the week after that is the first time we're gonna have a Batman episode with Superman episode. So the way we're doing that one is we're just gonna basically talk about them concurrently as they aired.
What was it called when it moved to the CW?
The New Batman
or
Adventures.
WB, the New Batman Adventures.
Yeah, so we're coming in on that because Holiday Nights is like the triptych episode with like 3 different stories around Gotham around the holidays.
Oh, nice.
That's the first episode of the New Batman Adventures, and that's gonna be
Nice.
coming up within the next few weeks, which is pretty
nice.
cool.
So the Batman Superman movie is not the debut of those designs.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a Batman episode. Like we probably could have structured it in such a way that like we started with that as like a reintroduction. It's too much work.
Yeah.
It's just
You're 55 episodes in. You don't need to go back.
Yeah,
we
no,
get
so-
what the premise is at this point.
yeah. So we'll get some Batman, and then pretty soon we're gonna get Batman and Superman together, which is that is a great. Have you've seen that? Mm-mm. Oh my god, it's good. So good.
I will be
so good.
I will be coming in blind until we start Beyond.
Oh shit, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I
man,
don't think I've watched much of the new Batman Adventures.
I've seen all of that a lot. That was always my favorite iteration, hands down.
Well, I didn't have the WB
Oh, okay.
growing
yeah,
up.
that would do it.
It took forever for I don't think I got to watch Smallville until the CW.
Okay, yeah.
wow.
Watch it as it happened. That sounds like a lie. Because I remember the season 4. How the fuck did I watch it? Because I remember the season 4 finale.
it wouldn't have
because
been
it had-
online. It was way too early for that.
Yeah. I guess repeats or something. I don't know. 'Cause,
Yeah.
yeah, we did not have the WB in my hometown.
Okay.
We did not have the WB, and UPN was.
The East Parts Network.
No. It was UPN. We'd get the
You never
primetime
caught that?
shows.
Never heard of that. No.
Yeah.
The primetime shows on our Fox affiliate at midnight.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And so what's funny is my mom was obsessed with Buffy.
Yeah.
And so the last 2 seasons of Buffy, it was on at midnight on Tuesdays. And so my mom would record it, but then like the last season, I think it had to have been like senior year of high school. She's like, fuck it, you can stay up.
Yeah, right. At
Just
this
stay
point,
up,
you can
yeah,
stay up
just
and watch it.
So we
Yeah.
watched it together at midnight on Tuesday nights.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. This was all like 20 years ago. This is
Yeah.
like pre-TiVo. Like that for me.
Yeah.
Justice League was like you could start recording stuff right around that time and watch it later. But yeah, I watched a lot of the new Batman Adventures and Superman when it aired on Saturday mornings, and then when it all came out on DVD, I was like, I bought all that shit. So I could
Yeah, no,
watch
I
it
have.
all.
If I still have VHSs, I got World's Finest. I got the Batman Superman on VHS.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
with
it's
edited
all-
out commercials
Yeah,
and
right?
everything. Yeah.
So good. I can't wait to get there. But we should probably wrap up. So what we always do is we end the podcast with a bat plug, or bat plugs, rather childishly named. Things that you've been watching, reading, listening to. I don't know, something that you found recently was cool that you thought you might want to share. If you don't have one off the top of your head, we can start with Cameron. He probably has something.
I have a few things.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Start with Cameron.
Okay. We've brought it up a few times at the beginning of the podcast of how this get made. Jason Mantzoukas is now on a new Netflix animated show called Big Mouth. I don't know if you've
Is
heard
it
of
good?
this.
I saw the trailer for
It's
it.
very bizarre.
Okay, it looks fun.
So it's Nick Kroll created the show, and it's like a raunchier Kroll show because he brings 2 of his Kroll show characters into this show. So
Who were the?
Liz from Publicity, she's in it.
Is it
and
both?
it's great.
Is Jenny Slater? Is it both?
No,
Liz's?
Jenny Slater is replaced with Natasha Leggero. She does good though.
All right.
She's like the popular girl.
Yeah.
And then Liz is the one trying to be friends with her and like sacrificing all of her morals to be friends with her. And then the gym coach is the basketball ref, and oh my god, I love it so much.
So is this like a pseudo prequel to Kroll Show?
No, because it's not like bits. It's
Well, yeah. But in terms of these characters, because obviously Liz, this is like when she's in high school versus like running Publicity.
I mean, it could be seen as that, but it's like they're both very much side characters.
Yeah.
It's all about the kind of weird puberty world, and there's like the puberty monster. So there's the male puberty monster
Yeah.
and the female puberty monster, and it's
amazing.
so like it's so raunchy. there was a Colbert interview with Nick Kroll where they like tried to show a snippet of the show and they had to bleep out like 2/3 of the dialogue. And that wasn't even like a bad scene in comparison. I'm like, oh, because you can still kind of get the context.
Yeah.
And watching that scene in the context of that episode, it's just like, that was such a tame moment. But yeah, I'll plug that. And then I watched Battle of the Sexes the other day.
How was it?
It was good. It wasn't the story I expected.
Okay.
Is the trailer misleading?
A little bit. So like it does go into the big
The battle.
Yeah, the big tennis match between Steve Carell and Emma Stone. But that's kind of the B story. The main story is Emma Stone's character like trying to figure out kind of like her love life. So she they go into this at the end of the movie, but she falls in love with her hairdresser at the beginning of the movie. She's already married to another guy. So it's her trying to like...
Oh, so this is like her coming out story.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious how the LGBT community is going to take this movie. Because it is very interesting to see that side of it, especially in the 70s.
Yeah.
Where like just a woman trying to get paid equal to a man was something to laugh about.
Yeah.
Pushing that story along with a lesbian story is very interesting.
Yeah, and I imagine. I mean, it's a weird combination because as much as I imagine there's liberties taken with the story, it's also like this is Billie Jean King's life. Like these are based on real people.
Yeah, but Steve Carell is amazing. He's so good in this role. Emma Stone is too, but he's like I mean, it's the comedy. Yeah. I mean, he's still great and funny. He's like a horrible gambling problem. There's a scene with him and his kid. And his kid like holds up the pepper shaker or like the pepper dispenser. He's like, "How many like pepper balls do you think are in here?" So you think 1,000? He's like, "I'll give you $1 for the 1,000."
Yeah, I do want to check that out. I want to check both those things out actually.
Yeah, I recommend them. They're both on my you should maybe check them out if you want to list.
This is so non-committal. Like,
Hey, if you got a second.
If you think you might enjoy them, sure, I guess you can go watch them.
Yeah.
That's what we'll rename this segment.
Chris, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, I finally had some free time. So I actually have a long list. I'm just going to keep it kind of short, though.
You had free time in Hawaii?
I did. I had some free time in Hawaii to sit down in a chaise lounge with my James Bond era romper.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad you were able to take some time out of your busy schedule to go to Hawaii
I am
and
busy.
read.
I'm busy.
I know.
But I did read Superman for All Seasons. It was recommended to us by one of our listeners, actually.
Nice.
And so I bought it. I took it with me. And it is really good. I mean, because obviously Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale do such amazing work with The Long Halloween, Dark Victory. Yeah, and this was just, it's a great story that shows Superman at his heart. Like, you get to understand why he does what he does. And it's a nice balance because, like, half of it's basically set in Smallville. Mm-hmm. And to kind of take him out of the city and put him in that context. And it like you were saying, it does a great job, too, showing how Lex actually is a great villain for him in the right context.
Yeah. I also just like the Tim Sale, Frank Quietly design of Superman, where he's just like a brick house.
He's huge. Like
he's just all torso.
Yeah, like as a teenager, people are like, "Oh, Clark, man, look at you." Like,
yeah,
like he feels uncomfortable because, like, even though he knows he's alienated, obviously by being an alien, but like even just his size alone, no matter what he does, he will always stand out.
Yeah.
Which then gives you an idea of kind of why he goes for the Clark Kent persona to try and go kind of meek and small. And I feel like that wasn't really quite as emphasized much in this.
Oh yeah, Grant Morrison is like obsessed with the duality of it. So yeah. He always puts it front and foremost. But yeah, like Jeff, I love Jeff Loeb's take on him. Yeah,
because there's a moment in this, like there is in so many versions of Superman 2, where like Lois sits there, she's like, "Well, quick, Superman's gone. Clark left too," and she thinks about it. She's like, "No, that's such a ridiculous idea. Like, it should be kind of obvious." But I mean, I still think Christopher Reeve is probably the best example of someone who really just they feel like completely different characters and they bring it in there.
And that's what sucks about Brandon Routh is he gets that too. Brandon Routh was the first person I ever heard to describe Superman not as two characters but as three.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so it's Clark Kent, what we just talked about, the performance, Superman, the public image, and then there's Kal-El, who is basically who Clark is to like Ma Kent.
Yeah.
Like the people who know who he is, and just when he's able to be comfortable, just be himself.
Yeah.
So he's like, I really respected Brandon Routh's I realized like he understands the character a lot. in that comment alone.
Yeah.
But I thought he did a really good job. But again, he's beholden to Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Same way Bryan Singer was beholden to.
Yeah. So there's an element of impersonation going on there, even though he does a really good job with it. Yeah. So that was one of the things that I read, and then I also finished a book called Sovereign by April Daniels. So I mentioned it's part of the Nemesis trilogy. I mentioned the first one a while back called Dreadnought, but it's a trans girl who basically becomes a Superman-esque figure. And so
nice.
when she gains the power, she becomes Idaho's version of herself. It's like a full woman, and she has all the powers. So it's
cool.
her kind of going up against this larger existing superhero world. And the first one was kind of much more about the trans identity. This one's much more about her like becoming a full-fledged hero. But like the writer does an amazing job of like building a really interesting, fleshed out world, and actually addresses how all these powers exist and why magic can exist with hyper-technology and superpowers, sort of stuff. Like great world building, really good book. So
I'll check that out.
yeah, it's worth reading.
Yeah.
How about you, Trevor? What do you got?
Well, what do I want to plug? We were talking about this earlier. Batman Metal. That's been pretty sweet. That's 2 issues in, and now they're in like one-shot territory. So they've basically launched out the first shot of the story, and now they're doing like the one-shots to just sort of get you up to speed, and then it'll continue on. But Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, just continuing on the awesome work that they did with Batman and the New 52, which I've finally went to the library and like got all the trades and like sat down and like within a week went through the 9 trades that I think their run consists of.
Okay.
I stopped when just before the Jim Gordon stuff.
Okay, yeah.
It's because I don't think it was completed by the time it was by the time I was going through the trades. So I need to go back and finish that. But yeah, it's phenomenal. It's really interesting. It's just like Scott Snyder, one of the guys who works next door, Adam. He's like worked with Snyder.
Oh shit!
He was like his TA for a sec, or something like that. Like they went to the same school, same college, and he's like saying he's like said he was there for like the pitch, and he's like, if it goes like even close to what he was saying, this is gonna be nuts.
Oh my god!
And so it's like
awesome.
so you have like all these various Bruce Waynes from the multiverse, and it's all these bad versions of Bruce Wayne just deciding. They've been like slowly. Scott Snyder's whole storyline has been like preparing Batman for this story. And so it's just crazy. But also, Spider-Man 2 is freaking phenomenal. It's did you read this Spider-Man?
No.
It's first meeting of Miles Morales and Peter Parker.
Okay.
It's the real like first big connective tissue between the Ultimate Universe and the regular Marvel Universe.
Okay.
Which is now not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
But it's been really, really cool. The whole thing is dealing with, because the original Spider-Man ends with Peter going back to his original universe, Miles Morales getting the blessing of Peter Parker, because he can't, because he's dead in his world. But so they part ways, and Peter Parker goes back to his world, decides to look up if there's a Miles Morales in his world, and it ends with a, oh my god. And then just that's it. Storylines drop, Secret Wars happens, and the universes are combined. And then now they're finally getting back into it. And they established that regular universe Miles Morales was a piece of shit. He's like he's a villain. It's 5 or 6 issues is going to be the miniseries. And this past issue was like all of his storyline, and he's like connected to the Kingpin.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Which is really like, it's been really cool. I was talking about it again with Adam next door at Meltdown, that Ultimate Spider-Man, like Green Goblin or Dr. Octopus is Peter Parker's nemesis, but for whatever reason, both Peter Parker and Miles Morales have dealt with Kingpin. Like he's sort of like the Ultimate Spider-Man's villain.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's really interesting to see Bendis bring back Kingpin, especially because he killed him off in the Ultimate Universe a while back, to get to go back into that character. It's been really, really good.
Oh, cool.
And it's Sarah Pichelli, who is the original artist who created Miles Morales. She's back. Like, she's been bouncing around books, but whenever she's on a Spider-Man book with Miles and Bendis, it's phenomenal.
So it's called Spider-Man 2, like T-O-O? Or?
No, like the number 2.
Spider-Men.
Spider-Men, plural of Spider-Man.
Okay.
And then this is the second one of it. The first one is phenomenal. This one, I'll be the first to admit, is not living up to the hype, just because it's such a different context, and it's just it's the first story was just so good. Like issue 4, to tie it back to the wanting to see stuff, just the slice of life stuff. Issue 4 is just Miles Morales and Peter Parker and Ultimate Gwen Stacy talking about the differences between their worlds of the original series. And it's
That's
just
pretty awesome.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And just to see Peter Parker just like getting to have a warm interactions with Gwen Stacy. Like, this is high school Gwen Stacy, and Peter's like his perpetual mid-20s.
Yeah.
And so just getting a chance to see him like getting to talk with Gwen Stacy again and be back into that world. Get to talk to an Aunt May who knows he's Spider-Man. Which is one of the, again, always bugs me that Aunt May doesn't know.
Yeah. Well, hey, now she does. At least in the movies.
Homecoming.
So
best last line of any Marvel movie.
Oh, I know.
Bar none.
Cannot wait.
What the?
I know.
I just watched it again. It's phenomenal.
Yeah? Is it out on?
It's at least on digital download.
Okay. Oh, I gotta go watch it again. Yeah, I only seen the one time. So, and I think probably the next time we'll see you again, at least podcast wise, will be for Thor. Thor in November, and then eventually later on in November we'll get a chance to talk about the new version of the Flash and whether he's any good or not. So. We shall see. But until then, Trevor, thank you so much for joining
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I wish Chris could have been here.
I know. We wish he could have been here too,
but he's lost the Speed Force.
I know. It was a noble sacrifice he made for us to continue on to go do this podcast.
I feel like he caused it.
Okay. Well,
he the Speed Force was coming for him because of something he did. Okay. I think he passed it off to me as if it was a sacrifice.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's like the Speed Force meets It Follows.
Yeah, I think this is definitely cosmic justice has come for Chris.
Okay.
But again, I wish he was here.
Okay. Well, an ignoble sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, Trevor, where can we find you and the podcast on the social meteors?
I am at Trevor Copter on my social media, so like Trevor and a helicopter. And then we are at PO2W_Flash on Twitter. And then you can find us iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find us as well. We are the podcast of Two Worlds. I think on iTunes, our full title is Podcast of Two Worlds - All About the Flash.
I think that
just so you don't get confused with the other podcast of Two Worlds.
Well, it's just like because I was like, well,
it's probably like some Star Trek
when I first
thing.
started it. When I first started it, I'm like, well, like it's people aren't gonna necessarily assume it's about the Flash, so let's put Flash in the title.
Yeah.
And now it's just like Chris and I are kind of transitioning because the CW verse. Days are numbered.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's in any dire straits, and the fact that Smallville went for 10 and Supernatural seems to be going for 50 seasons.
Oh my God,
so
that will never end.
CW is in the market for keeping genre shows alive forever and ever and ever. But we're starting to transition into expanding out of just covering the Flash.
Okay.
We're not going to jump into your guys' territory. We don't want to encroach.
Oh, you better fucking not.
Except when we deal with the Zeta Project.
Oh, yeah, right.
We're doing a whole mini-series, which is why I was trying to get you guys to do it in one.
Yeah.
We're just going to episode by episode in depth
You bastard. I'm glad Chris has lost the Speed Force now.
Isn't there one other... wasn't there one other shitty one that I'm not thinking of? One more...
No. The Zeta's the forgotten DC AU show.
And then Static is sort of forgotten just because it was so tangentially a part of it. Like it's very fondly remembered, but it was also because it was on that one was on UPN, right? It wasn't on.
No, that was on. It was on WB.
Kids WB.
Was it?
Yeah, it transitioned to Cartoon Network for a few new episodes.
Yes.
Okay,
I feel like
that was when I think the reason Zeta Project is lost is there were 3 other shows in a similar style that all none of them lasted very long. You had Generator Rex come very shortly after. You had Symbiotic Man.
Yeah.
Symbiotic Titan, sorry, come 2 years after that.
Well, and didn't
then
Ben 10? Yeah, Ben 10 debuted around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing Zeta and Ben 10 in imaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was so much of that style, and Ben 10 was the only one that really took off.
Yeah.
If Justice League and JLU didn't bring Static back in towards the end, I think it might have been more forgotten.
Yeah.
But that was a nice reminder of hey, don't forget, this was still part of our universe.
Although I wish...
Don't forget Shaq exists in this universe.
Oh my God, I cannot wait. How many episodes is he in? He's in 5 episodes,
say 4.
isn't he? Yeah, oh my God.
Because there's 3 independent ones, and there's the one with all of the other NBA players.
Oh my God. Well, thank God we have Shane to come in and explain all things sports related for that.
It's Steve Nash. That's all I care about. He was the only basketball player I knew growing up.
Wait, because why do you know him?
He was on the Mavericks for a few years.
Oh, okay. I know him because he went to Santa Clara University.
Oh.
He's one of our few famous alma maters. Or not alma maters, alumni. Whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
So, Cameron, where can we find you? See all your Disney adventures.
You can find my Disney adventures at CamDexter_adventure, right? Something like that.
You should know. What's your own fucking Instagram?
Come on.
I think that's
I think
right.
it's at
right?
Cameron.
Cam Dexter _ Adventures. Yeah, I was right.
Jesus Christ.
You're making me question my life. And if you want to see my art, it's at Cameron.Dexter.
And I'm at Lorda for all those same things. And of course, the podcast itself is at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So, Trevor, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'll see you guys
Cameron,
at Thor.
I guess I'm glad you were here.
Yeah, I'll see you in a few days.
I know. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Hey! Do you like teen dramas?
Do you like teens?
Do you like watching TV shows?
If you do, you might like watching the OC. So give it a try, and you can listen to us in podcast form on the Bro C. We talk about flip phones.
We talk about tube tops.
We talk about things from the early 2000s.
We talk about people smooching other people.
Ooh, and great, great music.
Yep.
So hey, listen to us on iTunes or SoundCloud here on the Nerdist School Network.
Woo.
The Nerdist School Network. For class and show information, visit nerdistschool.com.